You have believed a great lie. You have been convinced that your freedom, your peace, your wholeness is something to be built over time, an achievement waiting in a distant future. I am here to tell you that this is not truth. Your entire spiritual future does not hinge on years of struggle, but on a single moment of yielding. Not on a lifetime of effort, but on one day of true surrender. This day, the doorway stands open before you. Now, what if I told you that everything you have sought, every sense of fulfillment, every answer, every touch of the infinite is waiting for you to cease your searching and simply allow that? Your breakthrough is not a prize for the weary, but the forgotten foundation of your very being recognized in the clarity of one conscious day. We are not here to build something new, but to acknowledge what has eternally been. In this hour, we shall dissolve the illusion that you must travel to reach God. We shall lay aside the weight of tomorrow and the regret of yesterday and inhabit the only place where reality exists, this holy pregnant now. If your heart hears even a whisper of truth in this, then you are called to this sacred work. Commit to this inner journey by joining this community. Seal your intention by subscribing to this channel. Mark your presence here today, not with a name, but by commenting the number on. Let it be a silent covenant, a symbol that on this day you chose to turn within. You have been taught to measure spiritual progress as one measures the growth of a tree or the accumulation of wealth, slowly, gradually, with visible milestones marking the journey from here to there. This belief that you are incomplete now but may become whole later is the very barrier that keeps you straining toward a horizon you will never reach. It places your fulfillment in a time-bound future, making it a prisoner of tomorrow, and conditions your peace on a sequence of events that must first transpire. But what if the horizon itself is the illusion? What if the distance you perceive between yourself and the divine is a trick of thought, a mirage created by the mind that believes it must journey to find what was never lost? Consider how this plays out in the quiet desperation of an ordinary day. You awaken with a sense of lack, a feeling that today must be the day you finally get it right. You will be more patient, more disciplined, more loving. You approach your meditation or your prayers as a task to be completed, a session to be logged, hoping that the sum of these efforts will one day coalesce into a permanent state of grace. You look at a person who seems spiritually assured and think they have arrived, thereby confirming the story that there is a destination you have not yet attained. This constant projection of completeness into a future moment is a subtle and pervasive agony. It drains the present of its sacredness, making it merely a stepping stone, a means to an end. And in doing so, you miss the only reality there is, the eternal now, where God or the infinite actually functions. The mind loves this timeline. It finds security in the concept of a spiritual path because a path implies a traveler, a distance, and a future achievement, all of which give the personal sense of I a role to play, a reason to exist. It says, I am here and God is there, and my sincere efforts will close the gap. But this is the great misunderstanding. The moment you conceive of God as a separate entity waiting for you at the end of a long road, you have objectified the infinite and made yourself a seeker in a desert of your own making. Your very seeking, when founded on this belief in temporal attainment, becomes a confirmation of the separation you hope to heal. The thunderous truth that shatters this dream is that spiritual reality knows no sequence. It does not unfold in hours and days. It exists fully and completely at this instant, in this very breath, with the same intensity and availability as it will in any imagined future. Your access to it is not governed by the clock or the calendar, but by a shift in recognition, a turning within from looking ahead to looking here. The peace you seek for tomorrow is vibrating silently beneath the noise of today's anxieties. The love you hope to feel once your relationships are perfected is already the very substance of your being, awaiting your acknowledgement, not your construction. This is why one day is not a unit of time in this context, but a symbol for a complete pivot in consciousness. It represents the decision to step off the treadmill of progressive attainment and to stand still to be present. For in that standing still, the frantic search ceases, and in the silence of its absence, what has always been present can make itself known. You cannot hear the answer while you are shouting the question. You cannot feel the ocean while you are counting the waves you believe you must cross. The practice, then, is not one of adding more spiritual weight to your efforts, but of releasing the burden of future expectation. It is to catch yourself in the act of postponing your peace and to ask, could it be here now if I ceased declaring its absence? When you sit in the morning, do not sit to get somewhere. Sit to be where you are. When a wave of impatience or fear arises, do not see it as a failure on your path to a calm future. See it as a call to immediately turn within to the stillness that observes the wave without being tossed by it. That stillness is not a future reward. It is your present nature obscured only by your focus on the storm. The miracle occurs when you stop trying to manufacture a sunrise and simply allow your eyes to adjust to the dawn that has already broken. This adjustment is not a lengthy process. It is an instantaneous yielding. It is the acceptance that the timeline is the illusion, and your freedom lies in disregarding its false urgency to abide in the everlasting present, where the infinite is already and always expressing as your very life. This pivot from striving to yielding is the most critical and misunderstood turning point one can make. Surrender is not a passive resignation, not a giving up in defeat. It is the active, conscious, and total release of the personal will's insistence that it must manage, engineer, or earn its connection to the infinite. It is the recognition that the very hand you are using to grasp for God is the only thing that feels separate from Him. You must unclench the fist to discover the hand was always held. Think of how you navigate a difficult conversation. There is a moment when you feel the tension rise, the need to be right, to defend your position, to control the outcome. Every muscle of your personality is engaged in this mental combat, and in that engagement, you feel only separation, heat, and turmoil. Now recall a different moment, perhaps in exhaustion or grace, where that inner compulsion simply stopped. You listened without preparing your rebuttal. You saw the other, not as an adversary, but as a person. In that release, something else flowed in a clarity, a compassion, a spontaneous right action that did not come from your strategizing mind. That is a taste of surrender. It was not you crafting a better argument. It was you getting out of the way so that intelligence itself could operate. This is the pathway, and it is immediate because it requires no time, only a shift in consent. We mistake surrender for losing, but it is the only way to win your true self. The personal sense of I is a collection of history, opinion, and desire forever trying to protect and perpetuate itself. It believes its safety lies in its control. So when faced with a challenge, be it financial worry, a health diagnosis, or a relational fracture, this I swings into frantic action. It replays the past. It catastrophizes the future. It seeks solutions from the very level of consciousness that created the problem. This is like being stuck in deep mud and in your panic, thrashing about only to sink deeper. Surrender is the moment you stop thrashing. It is not accepting the mud as your permanent home. It is the profound trust that there is a solid ground beneath the mud that will support you if you become still. That solid ground is the divine presence. Your entire spiritual practice then transforms. It is no longer a regimen of affirmations or visualizations where you attempt to impose a desired spiritual state upon yourself from the outside in. That is the I trying to become spiritual, which is its final and most subtle deception. True practice becomes a gentle, relentless vigilance to notice when you are grasping, when you are trying to manage the unmanageable, when you are seeking from a place of lack. And in that noticing, you consciously let go. You drop the burden. You might do this 100 times a day in traffic. Instead of feeding the rage at the delay, you release the need for the situation to be different and turn your attention inward to the silence that is untouched by traffic jams. Facing a daunting task, instead of being driven by anxiety, you surrender. The weight of it. Not the doing of it, but the fearful identity that says, I am alone in this, and you find an energy and guidance that is not your own beginning to move through you. This is not a mystical abstraction. It is as practical as breathing. The breath itself is a perfect example. You can try to breathe to control its rhythm, to force deep inhalations. It becomes labored artificial. But when you release the effort and simply allow the body to breathe, it finds its own perfect nourishing rhythm effortlessly. Your relationship with the infinite is exactly like this. You are already being lived by it. Your very life is its expression. The struggle is your attempt to breathe yourself to author a process that is already and perfectly authored. Surrender is the cessation of that attempt. It is falling backward into the arms that have always been carrying you. It is the recognition that you are not the painter straining at the canvas, but you are the canvas itself upon which a divine intelligence is expressing a masterpiece. Your only task is not to interfere. Your breakthrough waits not in a new action, but in the sublime and courageous inaction of yielding all sense of personal doahip. When you yield, what remains is not emptiness, but a fullness that has no opposite. It is the peace that passes understanding, and it is available the instant you choose to stop choosing with the small, frightened self, and instead consent to be the very space in which grace unfolds. When you yield, what you discover is that you have not fallen into a void, but into a reality so substantial, so utterly present, that it makes the world of past and future seem like a faint dream. This is the pivot from living in the memory of what was or the projection of what will be to abiding in the fierce and living truth of what is. That what is not the superficial appearance of circumstances, but the very ground of being upon which those circumstances temporarily play. It is the canvas, not the painting, the screen, not the movie. And it is only here in this unshakable now that you can be free. Observe how your suffering is always tied to time. A regret is a ghost from the past haunting the present. An anxiety is a shadow from a future that does not exist, darkening the now. Even in a moment of simple discontent, standing in a line waiting for a web page to load, there is an implicit rejection of the present moment in favor of one you have deemed better. You are in essence trying to be somewhere else, some else. This constant mental immigration from the present is the root of your sense of lack. For you cannot receive the infinite riches that are being poured into this instant if your cup is turned upside down in resentment over the last instant or in fearful anticipation of the next. The present moment is the only point of contact with reality. The past is a remembered thought happening now. The future is an imagined thought happening now. All you ever have is this now. And it is in this now that the divine actuality speaks, moves, and has its being. Consider the sun. It does not shine for yesterday or for tomorrow. It pours forth its light completely and unconditionally in this eternal present. A cloud may pass before it, and you may say the sun is gone, but you know this to be an illusion of perception. The sun has not ceased its shining. Your point of contact with it is temporarily obscured. So it is with the light of your own being. The clouds of regret, worry, planning, and longing obscure your conscious awareness of it, but they cannot extinguish it. Your work is not to fight the clouds, which only gives them substance, but to turn your attention away from the clouds and toward the sun that is perpetually shining behind them. That turning is the movement into present awareness. It is not a philosophical concept. It is an act of inner orientation. You can practice this very second. Feel the weight of your body in the chair. Hear the sounds around you, not as interruptions, but as evidence of life happening. Now notice the breath entering and leaving without your command. In this simple noticing, you have stepped out of the story of your life and into the living of it. The argument you had this morning was a storm of thought and emotion. But in this moment, as you simply notice sensation and sound, where is that argument? It exists only as a memory, a mental image you are choosing to hold or release. The deadline looming tomorrow is a concept, arrangement of words and fears in the mind right now. By anchoring your attention in the sensory reality of the immediate present, the feel of the air, the sight of the light, you withdraw the energy that fuels those temporal phantoms. They lose their power to terrify because you are no longer feeding them with your presence. You are here, and they are not. This is the great secret. The kingdom of heaven, the state of wholeness is at hand. It is always at hand. It is never not at hand. Your access to it is not a question of distance, but of attention. When you are fully present, you are like a clear window pane. The infinite light shines through unobstructed. Your thoughts about yesterday and tomorrow are like paint on that pane blocking the light. Surrender, as we spoke of, is the act of stopping your painting. Present moment awareness is the act of cleaning the pain. And you do not clean it with effort, but with a gentle, persistent return to what is true in this immediate experience. The thrill is that this is not a retreat from life, but the only way to truly engage with it. You meet your child's laughter, not through the filter of soon they'll be grown, but in its pure vibrating sound. You taste your food, truly taste it when you are not also eating your worries. You listen to another person and hear their soul, not your prepared response. When you are fully there with them in each of these instances, you are not a separate entity interacting with a separate world. You are the conscious space in which the interaction is unfolding. This space is silent, vast, and untouched by the content it holds. It is the reality you have been seeking in all your journeys through time. To anchor here is to come home. And this homecoming is available before you finish reading this sentence. The past did not bring you here. The future will not deliver you. But there is only this, and this is all you need. For in the depth of this present moment, you find it has always been containing everything. When you have tasted this present moment awareness, when you have felt the profound stillness that underlies the noise, you come upon a staggering realization. This stillness, this conscious space is not something you have found. It is what has always been present. The thought, the feeling, the sensation. They appear and disappear within it. That which observes the coming and going cannot itself come and go. It is the constant, and this constant is not a distant deity, a far-off father figure to be petitioned from across a cosmic chasm. It is the very substance of your awareness, closer than your own breath. The frantic search for God as a separate entity ends here in the quiet understanding that you have never been and could never be apart from that which is. This is the axis upon which your entire perception must turn. The loneliness, the striving, the sense of being a spiritual orphan, all of it is born from the assumption of distance. It is the product of a mind that looks at the sky and prays to a star, never realizing it is the very space in which the star shines. You look for love, for peace, for power outside yourself, in conditions, in relationships, in achievements, believing they will bring you closer to a wholeness you imagine you lack. But this is like the wave searching for the ocean, not understanding it is made of ocean. The peace you seek is the nature of the silent witness within you. The love you crave is the very fabric of the awareness that holds your every thought. The power you feel you need is the infinite intelligence that grows the grass and guides the planets, and it is animating your heartbeat at this very instant. The separation is the fundamental illusion. Consider the moment of true forgiveness. It does not come from you as a separate person magnanimously deciding to pardon another separate person. That is a transaction of the ego. Real forgiveness washes over you when the boundaries of that separation momentarily dissolve. You see the other not as an external aggressor, but as a manifestation of the same consciousness caught in their own pain. In that seeing, there is no one to forgive and no one who needs forgiving. There is only a recognition of shared being. That recognition is not your doing. It is the ever-present truth revealing itself when the noise of personal identity subsides. It is God as immediate relationship, not as a third party to the event. Or consider a sudden insight, a creative solution that arises not from linear thinking but from nowhere. It pops into the mind whole and perfect. That is not your intellect achieving a victory. It is the infinite intelligence which is your source communicating through the instrument of your mind when it is still enough to receive. This transforms your practice from one of seeking to one of acknowledging. You do not beg a distant king for favors. You become quiet to acknowledge the royalty of your own true nature, which was never subject to the poverty of circumstance. When faced with lack, you turn within not to ask for more, but to acknowledge the abundance of being that is your core. I am is the first and final truth. Before you are a man or a woman, a success or a failure, healthy or ill, you are that pure, unadorned sense of being is your point of contact with the infinite. It is the I am that Moses heard from the burning bush. It is not your personal possession. It is the universal presence individualized as your awareness. Your fear says I am afraid. Your lack says I am poor. But beneath those temporary costumes, the eternal I am stands unchanging. Your work is to identify with the witness, not the costume. So when anxiety grips, you feel the gripping, but in the same instant become aware of the space in which the gripping is happening. That space is not anxious. When a desire arises, see it, but also see the vastness of consciousness that contains the desire. That vastness is not in need. This is not a denial of human experience. It is seeing it in its proper context as a temporary play of form upon the formless. The formless is ever present, ever at hand. It is the silent partner in every conversation, the unseen foundation of every building, the empty page upon which every story is written. Your frustration in traffic is a story written on the page, but the page itself is untouched by the drama. Your true identity is the page, not the frantic words. To know this is to be in the world but not of it. You engage, you act, you care, but you do so from the unshakable peace of knowing that the essence of what you are is the same essence that is the core of everyone and everything you encounter. There is no distance to bridge, only a false idea of separation to overlook. And in that overlooking, you find that God was never a destination but the very ground upon which you have always been standing. This ground does not move. It cannot be shaken. And it is your home right now before your next thought arises to suggest otherwise. When this recognition dawns that the ever-present ground of being is your true nature, a monumental error in your spiritual approach is exposed. You see that the very notion of spiritual progress driven by the personal I is a contradiction in terms. The I that strains disciplines and accumulates spiritual achievements is the very entity that must be seen through, not empowered. This is the critical distinction between human effort and inner yielding. Effort belongs to the realm of the personal sense of self, the one who believes it must climb a mountain to reach the sun, not realizing it is already bathed in the sun's light. Inner yielding is the dissolution of that climb, the cessation of that exhausting vertical struggle, allowing you to simply be the illumination you sought. Watch this play out in your daily endeavors. You set a goal, perhaps to cultivate more patience. The personal will takes this as a command. It grits its teeth, determined not to react. It views every frustrating person or circumstance as a test to be passed, an enemy to be defeated by its sheer force of non-reaction. This is a state of inner warfare. The I is at battle with its own impulses, and though it may win small skirmishes of silence, it is exhausted, brittle, and secretly proud of its accomplishment. This is human effort. It is the self trying to become spiritual, and in the process, it fortifies the very self that is the barrier. Now contrast this with the moment of inner yielding. It does not begin with a goal, but with a release. Faced with that same frustration, there is no battle plan. Instead, there is a turning of attention away from the heat of the emotion and toward the silent, spacious awareness that is witnessing the emotion. In that turning, you are N.O.T. fighting the storm. You are finding the calm at its eye. From that calm, a response or a non-response flows naturally, intelligently, without the strain of a manager. This is not your patience. It is patience itself manifesting through the instrument of a surrendered mind. Effort is always looking for a result. It is transactional. If I meditate for an hour, I will earn peace. If I study these texts, I will gain understanding. This mindset keeps you perpetually in the future, dangling the carrot of attainment just beyond your reach. It makes God the ultimate reward for good spiritual behavior. But the infinite is not a prize. It is the source from which the desire for the prize arises. Inner yielding is non-transactional. It is the abandonment of the reward-seeking mechanism. You sit in meditation not to get peace, but because in the sitting, in the release of striving, peace reveals itself as your natural state. You read not to acquire wisdom, but to still the mind enough so that the wisdom already inscribed within your being can resonate. The difference is everything. One is the activity of a hungry ghost. The other is the rest of a child in its parents' arms. This is why all struggle in your spiritual life is a sign that you have confused these two paths. That feeling of pushing a boulder uphill is the hallmark of the personal will at work. The moment you feel that strain, that is your signal not to push harder, but to stop entirely, to yield, to ask, who is it that is striving, and what is it striving toward? In that inquiry, the stir is seen as a thought, and the goal as another thought. Both appear in the vast goalless presence that you are abetting. There is not an act of effort, but of remembrance. It is like relaxing a muscle you did not know you were clenching. Think of learning to float in water. The human effort is all thrashing limbs, fighting the water, try ng to command, the body to be buoyant. This leads only to sinking and exhaustion. The instructor says, lean back, trust the water, let go. This feels like a risk, a surrender to a force beyond your control. But when you do it, when you yield, you discover the water itself holds you up. You were always supported. Your effort was the only thing preventing you from experiencing that support. Your spiritual life is this exact process. Your efforts are the thrashing. Your yielding is the leaning back into the infinite support that has always been present. The peace, the wisdom, the love. These are not qualities you manufacture through striving. They are the inherent properties of the divine medium in which you exist. You do not create them. You allow them to express by ceasing to interfere with the personal will's frantic attempts to do the divine's job. So when you rise tomorrow, do not rise with a list of spiritual tasks for the ego to accomplish. Rise with the intention to notice when the ego takes up that list, and in that noticing choose the opposite of what it demands. Choose to be still. Choose to be the awareness that receives the morning, not the manager who must orchestrate it. This is not passivity, it is the highest form of action, for it is action aligned with and flowing from the source of all action. It is the difference between a light bulb frantically trying to generate electricity and the same bulb simply humbly allowing the current to flow through it. The bulb does not effort to shine. It yields to the power, and in that yielding it becomes luminous. Your breakthrough is the same. Stop trying to shine, yield to the current. The luminosity you seek is what you will discover you have always been. This then is the final and most liberating realization. The entire spiritual journey is not a process of becoming but a gentle unfolding of recognition. You are not building a staircase to the divine. You are removing the planks you had placed over a sunlit floor. Your work is one of subtraction, not addition. The wholeness, the peace, the infinite connection you seek is not an achievement to be added to your resume of self, but the forgotten foundation of your being to be acknowledged. And in that simple, profound acknowledgement, the entire painful narrative of a seeker separated from its source dissolves into the grace of what has always been and will always be. See how this transforms every moment from a test into a testament. You are sitting at your desk, burdened by a sense of unfinished tasks. A mental list that stretches into a fearful future. The old way, the way of human effort and achievement, would be to buckle down, to push harder, to tie your worth to the completion of that list. But from this new ground of acknowledgement, you do something radically different. You pause, you feel the weight, yes, but then you turn inward and ask before this thought of burden, what is here? You sense the alive stillness that precedes the story. You acknowledge it. You don't ask it to fix your list. You simply recognize it as more fundamentally true than the list. In that recognition, a shift occurs. The tasks may remain, but the one doing them is no longer a small, anxious self, but an expression of that intelligent stillness moving with a purpose that is not frantic. The doing is not diminished, it is sanctified because it flows from being, not toward it. This is the secret hidden in plain sight within all your relationships. You look at another and see their behavior, their personality, their history with you, a dense collection of images and judgments. This is achievement mindset, where you believe you must achieve a certain response from them or achieve a state of perfect harmony. It is exhausting. Acknowledgement looks past the costume of personality. In a moment of tension, instead of crafting your next verbal achievement, you become still. You acknowledge the presence of life itself, looking out from behind their eyes, the same presence that animates you. You are not achieving ra'ord. You are acknowledging a shared reality. From that silent acknowledgement, words may come that heal, or a silence that holds more understanding than any speech. The relationship ceases to be a project and becomes a communion of the oneself, momentarily appearing as two, Even your deepest pains are transformed by this principle. A wave of grief of loss arises. The achieving mind would see this as a failure, a problem to be solved, an emotion to be fixed or transcended through some spiritual technique. It resists the pain, creating a secondary layer of suffering, but acknowledgement allows the wave to be. It turns toward the feeling with a raw, gentle honesty, saying in essence, this too is appearing in the vast space that I am. You do not achieve freedom from the grief by pushing it away. You acknowledge the freedom that is your very nature, which is spacious enough to contain the grief without being shattered by it. In that containment, the grief is felt completely, but it is not confused with who you are. It is a weather pattern in the sky of your awareness. The sky does not achieve calm by fighting the storm. It acknowledges the storm as a temporary movement within its boundless expanse. So let this be your practice from this day forward, the sacred practice of acknowledgement. When beauty stuns you, do not just note it and move on. Pause. Acknowledge the beauty as the outer face of the inner grace that you are. When irritation sparks, acknowledge the spark, and then immediately acknowledge the silent witness that saw the spark ignite. Your power lies not in achieving a state where sparks never fly, but in knowing yourself as the hearth that holds them without being consumed. This is not a passive acceptance of circumstance. It is the active claiming of your true identity as the context for all circumstance. You are the canvas, and the painting of your life, with its bright joys and dark sorrows, is temporary. To worship the painting is to live in fear of its fading. To acknowledge yourself as the canvas is to know an eternal untouched peace. Therefore, take this one day. Do not use it to achieve a new spiritual height. Use it to practice this one sacred act: acknowledgement. In the traffic jam, acknowledge the peace that precedes frustration. In the moment of praise, acknowledge the joy that exists before the ego claims it. In the face of lack, acknowledge the abundance of being that can never be depleted. Each acknowledgement is a plank removed from the floor. Each one allows more of the inherent light to shine through. You will find that you are not moving toward a breakthrough. You are standing still, and the breakthrough is the dawning realization that the light you sought has always been shining beneath your feet, waiting only for you to stop building long enough to feel its warmth. This is the end of seeking. It is the beginning of knowing, and it is available now in the quiet acknowledgement of what